Shalom to the Mishpachah in the name of Kahala Yahawah and his son Barak Hashem YAHAWAH. Today we're coming to you with a reading and evaluation of the four carpenters, and this one is entitled Thank Yahawah for the Four Carpenters. Now we're going to learn in this reading and study who the four carpenters were, as well as what they were sent to do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So my first witness is Daniel chapter 8, and we're starting at verse 20. And this is Gabriel speaking to Daniel, breaking down a vision he just saw where a ram just got overtaken by a goat. And it reads, "The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia." So it's got two horns for two kingdoms. So anytime you see how many horns, that signifies how many kingdoms this beast or this animal has. And each kingdom is signified by a specific type of beast. Like we see Media Persia as a ram. And the verse 21, "And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king." So these represent kings of kingdoms, these horns. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it. So this is Alexander the Great being taken down, and then his successors standing up in their place. So, and then it says, four king in his place. His successor standing up in his place. "Four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He also shall stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the mighty of the evening and the morning which was told was true. Wherefore shut up thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days." So this has been just broken down to Daniel in this form. And now we're working our way to Zechariah chapter 1, and it reads, starting at verse 16, "Therefore thus saith the Most High, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith the Most High of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, Thus saith the Most High of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Most High shall yet come for Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. Then lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, four horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he said, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Most High showed me four carpenters. Then said I, What cometh these to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah, to scatter it." So we see those four carpenters are here to, basically run out the four horns, which are these kings and their occupation. Next witness. Now, before we proceed further, I just want to say that these visions that I'm revealing are basically visions of past, present, and future, similar to Babylon. The kingdom that was, is, and is to come is, because Greco-Rome is a part of the image of Babylon. So let's continue. This is 1 Maccabees chapter 1, and we're starting at verse 1. And it reads, and it happened that after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian or Idumean or Edomite, who came out of the land of Shittim. This means he basically came, we know the Edomites joined themselves to the Greeks. So, that's another story. But he had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. So he's the first of the Macedonians to rule over Greece. And basically in this capacity. And he made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, as was prophesied. We've seen that, this great goat with the first horn was the king of Grecia, which was Alexander the Great. And he went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he would die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, who had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So these are the 4 horns that came from him. So let's continue. If you're familiar with the story, Antiochus was the tyrant. So to continue in the story of Maccabees, we're in chapter 2, and we see these are the 4 carpenters of this period. It says, in those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joiarib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modim. And he had 5 sons, Johanan, called Cadiz, Simon, called Thasi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar, called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphis. And we know that they saw the blasphemies of the land, and they led the revolt of the Maccabeans. It was named after them, their family. So let's continue. So those who are familiar with the story knows that Matthias led the revolt and started it off. And before he dies peacefully, he tells his sons, wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for it shall be ye obtain mercy. And behold, for by it you shall obtain glory. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you. As for Judas Maccabeus, he has been given might and strength even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people. So we see he's got 5 sons. He sets 1 to be a counselor and the other 4 to be soldiers. So those are the 4 carpenters we see here. Let's continue. For those who are unfamiliar with how the story goes, basically Israel or the Jews revolt and they win their freedom. They gain back the Holy of Holies, which was turned into the abomination of desolation while the Greco-Roman people had control of it. And basically they take the kingdom back. This is a map showing the kingdom of the Greco-Roman Empire. They had control over the world, including Judea. I just want to note that Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom Jews and Israelites were scattered throughout this entire kingdom in every country of this empire, and later were brought back in together in Acts 2. For the sake of time, I would like to encourage y'all to read Matthew 25, chapter 25, verses 31 through 46, and you will see that Yahawashi or Christ was one of these carpenters in the later period. Now, keep in mind, this is a perpetual prophecy, past, present, and future. Also, we see him calling all nations under the sun at that time to be judged, where he's separating the sheep from the goats. And we just saw from the map that Greco-Rome had control over all nations in the world at that time. So let's continue. And just to drive home my point, I want to prove that Yahawashi or Christ was in fact a carpenter as well as his father. So this is Matthew 13 and starting at verse 54. And it reads, "And when he was come into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished and said, Whence hath this man this wisdom and these mighty works? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Joseph and Simon and Judas, and his sisters, are they not all with us? Whence then has this man all these things? And they were offended in him. But Christ said unto them, A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house. And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief." So we see the, effect that, the curses have had on his people, to the point where they didn't even acknowledge or believe who he was, So let's keep on reading. This is Colossians 3, starting at verse 8. "But now put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that you have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on a new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all. Put on, therefore, as the elect of Yahawah, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long suffering." Now we're going to precept this with 2nd Ezra chapter 2 and see how this is referring to Israel as a whole when they're all brought back together as a body. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 2, starting at verse 40. "Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of Yahawah. The number of thy children whom thou longest for is fulfilled. But seek the power of the Most High, that thy people which have been called from the beginning may be hallowed. Yes, I, Ezra, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people, whom I cannot number, and they all praise the Most High with songs." This is also in Revelation chapter 7. "And in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said to me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing," and Paul mentions those items in the previous chapter, "and put on the immortal, and he confessed the name of Yahawah. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then I said unto the angel, What young man is that crown them and give them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of Yahawah, whom they have confessed in the world. Then I began greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of Yahawah." Now we know that to see this you must be able to ascend, which John did in Revelation. Once again, I had a ton to unpack and I got even more, but I'm going to have to go ahead and end this. With that, I say, Bachan, Palau, Chaya Kadash, watch, pray, live holy. Shalom to the Mishpachah, Kam Yasharala, Barakatam. I'm out. 1.